What's up guys, my name is Ciara and welcome back to my YouTube channel. First, let me just address my croaky voice in this video. No, I am not about to go and record a blues album. I was at a friend's wedding over the weekend and I'm still recovering. So as you can see by the title of this week's video, it is quite a controversial topic and it is something that has definitely been in the mouths of the public here in Ireland for quite a few months now. I think at this stage it's no secret that social media influencers, bloggers and YouTubers can and do earn money off of their content. But how does it all really work? Over the past few months, I've been reached out to by so many different media publications here in Ireland that have asked me questions about how I feel about it, do I disclose, what goes on, how much money do you earn, and I try and be as open with them as possible, but I thought this would be the perfect platform to just have a chat about it and talk about my experiences. And also I want to preface this video by saying that not everybody with a blog or a social media page earns money from it. A lot of people simply do it as a hobby, for their passion. They do it alongside having another job and they don't earn any revenue for it, and maybe they don't want to at all. I personally think that there's absolutely no problem in earning a revenue from something that you are so passionate about. As you guys know, I work full-time on my blog. I also do some presenting work as well, but my blog is a huge part of how I earn my living, how I make my wage. Before I get into explaining the main ways that I as a blogger earn money from my website, I wanted to talk a little bit about the situation in general here in Ireland and how that's evolving. So at the moment there are so many articles popping up about this subject, about bloggers earning money through their work, about disclosure, about honesty, about credibility, and it's a very good conversation to be having. I think it's a really good thing for us to be talking about this, for people to be asking questions. Last year, the ASAI, which is the Advertising Standard Authority of Ireland, issued some new regulations that basically meant that if a social influencer or a blogger was being paid to promote or endorse a product, that they had to state this using the relevant, sponsored, spawn or ad hashtags on whatever platform it was that they were promoting the product. So it basically means that they had to declare or disclose that they were working with the brand so their readers would know that what they were looking at was essentially an advertisement. You'll often see it under some of my posts. I'll either hashtag SP or I'll hashtag spawn, so you guys know. But I also talk about it openly in my blog posts. I'll put a disclaimer at the end of them and all that stuff. So you might be wondering, why is it that brands are so eager to work with bloggers and digital influencers? And I myself didn't really understand this for a very long time. And the reason is that advertising is changing so quickly here in Ireland and in the rest of the world. We use the term millennials to describe our generation, and we are constantly on our phones. We are constantly plugged in and we're not digesting traditional media in the same way that we were before, and this basically means we're fast forwarding through our ads, we're ignoring billboards that we see on the street because we're on our phones, we're not reading as many newspapers or magazines as we were before, we're not consuming advertising in the same way that we used to. So brands and advertising companies now have to work in different ways so they can get the same amount of eyeballs, which is the same amount of people watching their advertisements and knowing about their product. So the reason why a brand would want to work with a blogger or an influencer is because they've already curated a following of people. So this audience might have a specific age demographic, a specific gender, they might have specific interests. And if a brand is clever, they can choose an influencer that really directly aligns with their audience. And if they do that correctly, it's a fantastic way of advertising, and it really is very valuable for the brand. So given the amount of value that the brand or the advertiser gets through working with the influencer, it does make a lot of sense that it could be a paid job. That is a very summarized version of how it all works. But again, it's different for every person, it's different for every brand, it's evolving so quickly, and there is no rule book. So speaking from personal experience, I've been blogging for 5 years now. The bulk of the work that I've been doing through my blog has been in the past 2 years. And it was when I started to look at my blog as a business and I tried to grow it and shape it and build my own brand. That was when things started to kick up a gear and more work started coming my way. So like I said before, my blog is now my full-time job. I also do presenting work as well. So rather than rambling on too much, I'm going to try to break it down, and I'm going to start by talking about the 4 main ways that I or that other bloggers can earn money. So the first and probably the primary way that I earn money through my blog is through sponsored content. Sponsored content can vary, but it is basically when a brand pays you to feature them in your content. So I'm predominantly a fashion blogger. So how this usually works for me is with a fashion brand. So they might have me choose some pieces from their collection and style it up into an outfit and shoot it for my blog. Some of the bigger collaborations that I've done in the past few years would have been with Thomas Sabo. We did a really fun collaboration in Paris. I also worked with Littlewoods. I did a really fun campaign recently with Lidl. It's mostly fashion brands, and the way that I work with them is I get to decide how I produce the content. I get to decide basically what it looks like, but I'm featuring their brand in it. Now, as a rule, I only work with brands that I genuinely like, and I only work with brands that I think that you guys will like. And while, every so often I do have some sponsored content, I turn down quite a lot of offers. I turn down a lot more offers than I accept, and that's in no way meant to be bragging. I would rather limit it to just the ones that I think will work really well and that I feel really passionate about. And thankfully, because I've been so strict, now I'm getting some really amazing offers, so I'm really able to comfortably say yes to only the projects that I really love. So this sponsored content works much in the same as any other freelance work. You'll have a chat with the brand beforehand. There might be a contract involved, there might not be. You will decide on how you're going to produce the content. You might be given a deadline. The content will be published, and then you'll send them an invoice. And it just works just the same as so many other jobs in the media. Stylists, journalists, they work with brands, they invoice them, and then they'll get paid in maybe 30 days, sometimes a lot more. So the second way that I would earn a revenue through my blog is by affiliate marketing. And this is something that some of you might not have heard before, but it's actually very simple. So if you think about a salesperson in a clothing shop, they often work on a commission basis as well. So if they make a sale or they refer a sale, they're given a percentage of the amount that that person spends. So this is the same with affiliate marketing. I am signed up to one of the world's, if not the world's biggest affiliate marketing company. It's called Reward Style. It's absolutely fantastic and it's international. I've been with them for about 3 years now. How they work is they have so many brands on their network. Most of the brands that I actually work with, they have Topshop, Boohoo, River Island, ASOS, Misguided, Pretty Little Thing, and huge department stores. They have luxury online stores. There's such a huge number of brands on their network, so it allows me to create content like I normally would. I don't have to plug one brand on my blog just because I'm earning commission from it, because it enables me to earn when somebody buys anything through my website. So I always like to see my website as a shopping resource, and that is how I've tried to build it over the past few years. I always like to help you guys if you have any particular queries, if you're looking for a specific outfit, or if you have any wardrobe worries, I always like to help you solve them. So what's happening is a lot of people are now coming to my website when they want to go shopping. They look at the outfits that I've been putting together, they look at the shopping edits that I've created, or they email me directly with questions about what to buy for what occasion. So then when they click on a link on my website that directs them to, let's say, ASOS or River Island or Boohoo, and they spend a certain amount of money, a percentage of what they spend then is awarded to me. Now, it takes a long time for it to come through. It takes about 3 months for a sale to close. That's what they call it. It's still, nothing insane, but it definitely helps. It's part of my wage that I earn. It's also a very interesting one because I can directly monitor through my analytics who's buying what through my website, what people respond to, what they don't respond to, and it makes me really happy to think that you guys come to me as a shopping resource. The third way that I would earn revenue through my blog is through hosting work and appearances. So this is something that kind of ties into the presenting work that I do, but I often get booked to host an event, to appear at an event. They might work out whether they want you to do any social media activity while you're there, or if they want you to be in press pictures, but it's basically your attendance, your physical attendance, being required at an event that they're hosting. So the fourth and final way that I would earn money through my blog is through sponsored social media content. This is very similar to the first one that I mentioned, which would be sponsored blog content, and this one is becoming a lot more popular recently. So brands are really looking at social media accounts as a way of advertising. They're looking at Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and they are working with influencers like me to get their message across to their brand. So it works in very much the same way as the first one I explained. For me personally, I always make sure that I am picking what I'm saying, how I'm saying it. If there's any imagery involved, I'm taking the imagery myself, or I'm, deciding what kind of imagery it's going to be. And again, this will always be attached with a hashtag sponsor or a hashtag SP or hashtag ad at the end. So I am very careful about the sponsored social media content that I do. When I do get behind something, it's because I really enjoy it and I definitely really endorse it. So if you do see it, then you'll know that it's sincere. I always want to make sure that the content that I'm producing is 100% organic to me and my interests and my voice, because you are my audience and I've curated you and nurtured you for so many years, and I just don't want to do anything that would make you question my credibility or, try and get something for an easy paycheck. So another thing that I wanted to quickly touch on in this video is how an audience responds to sponsored content. So if you're a publisher, if you're a blogger or a social media influencer, and you're worried about your audience not responding to your sponsored content well, with all the sponsored content that I have produced over the past few years on my blog, I have only ever gotten support from my readers. They've only ever been lovely about it. I've had a couple of questions here and there. People might ask if something is sponsored, but I've never gotten any negativity for it. And I think there's one simple reason why. I always make sure that if I include sponsored content on my pages, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a social media post, I make damn sure that that content is just as good as any other content that you'll find on my page. I make sure that my readers will get the same amount of value from it, they'll get the same amount of enjoyment from it as they would any other article that was unsponsored. So this means that a reader knows that if I say that I'm working with a brand next week or next month, they know that they're going to enjoy that content just as much as they would anything else that I put out. And that means that they support me, and it means that I can work with brands in this way and obviously earn a living so I can continue to produce content that they like. I think with all the talk of sponsorships and credibility with bloggers, you do hear people say that, some bloggers only post if they're paid to, they'll only post if there's a paycheck behind it. Maybe that's true for some bloggers, but it certainly isn't for me. I produce between 3 and 4 new articles on CiaraO'Doherty.com every single week, and I produce 1 YouTube video a week. If you think about it, that's a whole lot of content being produced a month, and maybe about 2 to 3 of those articles will be sponsored. I've never done a sponsored YouTube video. I shoot, edit and write 3 to 4 articles a week on CiaraO'Doherty.com, essentially for free. Now, I don't see it as being for free. If this is my full-time job, I should be constantly creating content. So I feel like even if I publish a post that doesn't have any paycheck attached to it, for me personally, I still see it as being so valuable because it creates more content for you to enjoy, which builds my blog, which then brings more sponsored content. So if you are a blogger and if you're wondering about, how to make sponsored content work for you, take my advice. Treat it like a business and make sure that you're producing quality content regularly and giving your readers as much value as you possibly can. Give them as much free content as you possibly can. So then when you do start to work with brands, it will be absolutely fine. And that is the best advice I can give you as a blogger on the subject. That is how I have done it, and I honestly think it is the best way. So if you are somebody who enjoys reading blogs, you love watching YouTube channels, you love following people on social media, and you don't think that sponsored content is right, then I think you should really have another think about it and think about just how much content those bloggers are giving you on a regular basis, and think about the fact that if they work with a brand, it obviously enables them to support themselves through their blog, thus giving more time and energy into delivering you the content that you like so much. So there's one thing that I haven't really touched on in this video yet, and that is exactly how much influencers and bloggers earn from the work that they do. And that's because I don't have a set answer for you guys. Because every blogger is so different, their earning potential is different. People have different size following, they have different packages that they offer brands, and that will affect how much they earn. In terms of fees, there are so many figures being thrown around in the media right now, and while some of them I think are a little bit exaggerated, some of them are actually spot on. I'm obviously not going to disclose how much I earn from blogging because it's a really personal thing to answer, and I don't think that anybody else in any other vocation would be expected to declare how much money they're earning unless you were a politician, and I'm not a politician, so sorry. But what I will say is that I never expected to be able to earn a living from this kind of work. When I started it, I had no idea that it would ever become my job. I started it for a passion, and to be able to grow that passion into a business has been absolutely incredible. It has been such a learning experience. It has been full of ups and downs, mostly ups, and it has been absolutely incredible. And thankfully, you know, my business is growing all the time. I put so much time and work into it. Blogging as an industry is so young, and it is growing and evolving all the time. But as somebody who works in the industry, I am so happy to see regulations coming in. I'm so happy to see people talking about it, to see people asking questions, because I think it validates it even more. Having this open discourse about this industry, about its ethics, about disclosure is so important, because it means that when people are running their business ethically, they can stand on stronger feet and they can be proud of what they've created. I have absolutely no idea where the industry is going to go, but I know that what I've built with you guys and the connection that I've built with you means that wherever I end up taking this blog, I will be sure to take you guys along with me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this slightly more controversial video. I tried to speak as candidly as I could and just have a really relaxed chat with you guys about the whole thing. And I really do hope that it has, you know, maybe explained things a little bit better to you guys. But of course, if you have any other questions about anything, please don't hesitate to let me know. So now that I have officially spilled the tea on how I earn money as a blogger, I think the least that you can do is subscribe to my channel. I will leave the link in the description bar below. It is super easy, it's free, and it helps me out a lot. And if you would like to see more videos like this in that kind of blogging tip style, then please do give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment below letting me know what kind of video you would like to see next. That's it for this week, guys, and I will see you on my next one. Bye!